Welcome. Good morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you're joining from. Go ahead and grab your bolster or your blanket, your pillow, get that elevation in your hips, and just a simple cross-legged. And see if you can root through your sit bones. So that's our foundation, our structure. And you have your right sit bone and your left sit bone. And both coordinate the strength and the structure of the spine. So go ahead and move the tissue out of the way. Take this inner groin, which is like a steel cable, roll that inner groin, releasing it towards the floor. Release the inner groin. And then move the muscle, the skin, the tissue out of the way until you can actually feel the bone that you sit on, the sit bone. And we want to get on the inside edge. So pretend these are, it's hard to see, pretend these are my sit bones. And you want to be on the inside edge and the front edge. Okay. And again, we've talked about this before, but most people have a sit bone that's tucked under, that's one that's tucked out, one that's tucked forward, one that's tucked back. And that impacts the curvature, the musculature, the feedback, the communication to our spine, which impacts the feedback, the communication to our nervous system. And it also impacts that strength, that core strength, that inner spine strength. So inner spine strength, that's beyond your six pack, right? That's beyond abs. This is the inner spine, those muscles, and those are harder to access. Okay, they are not superficial muscles. They are core strength. So release the fingertips forward, engage the muscle to the bone. You're really engaging this underarm, engage the muscle to the bone. And the way that you're going to find that is by extending through your fingertips, reaching through your pinky fingers, reaching through your ring finger. See if you can get any bends out of the wrists, out of the elbows, and align from the center wrist to your center elbow to your center shoulder. So there's so much lengthening that can happen here. You can really begin to untangle the nervous system, untangle the spine. And so the arms are really coordinating with your thoracic spine, right behind your heart, right behind your shoulders. So reach through those fingertips as though your arms are growing longer. You got like Gumby arms, lengthening, lengthening, lengthening. And as you're doing that, soften through the jaw. The jaw is relaxing, releasing, the throat is softening. And then we're gonna reach through those two sit bones, right sit bone, left sit bone. And it's only as you start to ground those sit bones, as though you're reaching through the floor, growing roots, that the spine starts to elongate and lengthen and extend. And again, that's when you start to find those inner spine muscles. So let's coordinate those 3 points, reaching through your fingertips. Okay, it's more than 3 points. Reaching through the fingertips, engage the muscle to the bone and your upper underarm. Reach your sit bones through the floor. And as you do so, keep your arms up, but as you do so, you're gonna engage these glute muscles, okay? Good. Fingertips, sit bones reaching through the floor, engaging the glute muscles, which means we're gonna strengthen and stabilize around the lower back and the sacrum. Neck soft, center forehead soft. Jaw releasing, throat softening. And remember, we're consistently working with what we call masculine and feminine actions. Masculine actions meaning the bone and muscle structure. And that's like your donkey work. That's like walking up a mountain. That's the training. That's the grit. That's where you're really building the structure, building the muscles, building the nervous system. And then the feminine is where we're softening and releasing. So think of like a rose petal. It has that strong structure. It has the stem, the thorns, the protection. And then it has the bloom, the flower. That's the softness. So the softness comes in our skin actions. So even though you're reaching through, growing your arms longer, reaching through your sit bones, growing your side waist longer, your spine longer, reaching through the top of the head, elongating, growing an inch or 2 or 3. So those lengthening through the bones, through the musculature, that's that masculine strength, that structure. And then comes the feminine. So roll your inner shoulder down your back. Release the inner shoulder down. And then soften the skin. But don't lose the extension. Keep the length, keep the extension. Yes, you're going to feel burning. Yes, it's going to feel way harder maybe than it should. And that's where you lengthen through. Lengthen through. We're warming up the shoulders here. We're doing this on purpose. And what's neat as you find that extension, that masculine action, and then you add the feminine action into it, the softening, it's as though you're reaching through, lengthening through, and it begins to become effortless effort. So there's a softening. There's a softening in the brain, softening in the nervous system, softening in the face, softening in the skin. And yet the bones are not, you're not soft in there. That's strong. That's extension. Effortless effort. So it's not rigid, but it's also not loosey-goosey. It's strong, it's firm, and it's soft. Inhale the arms up. Inhale to the top of your breath. Hold at the top of your breath. Try and get those wrists, elbows, shoulders aligned. Roll the inner top of your shoulders, where the top of your shoulders meet your neck. Roll those muscles straight down your back towards the floor. So that actually is a strong muscular action, masculine action. Roll the shoulders down and back. And then there's that feminine softening within it. And we can work through every single structure of the spine, every single vertebra, all the muscle attachments, right? So it's great to get those adjustments, to get the spine aligned, but it's really our job to build the muscular structure to keep the spine supported so that the spine can stay in place, right? So for example, if you're someone that gets chiropractic adjustments, but then they just don't hold, we need to support the form by doing this hard training, donkey work, to engage the musculature of the spine. So imagine that you're actually making space between every single vertebra. Inhale again through your nose. Hold. Now draw the front of your ribs to the wall behind you. Again, that's how we're going to actually find that length and extension throughout the whole spine. So equal opposing actions. If the ribs are splayed forward, we lose the strength of the spine. If we draw those ribs back, now the inner spine has to engage all the way through from the base to the top of the head. Soften the face, soften the skin. Again, we're training to the point where you do get to that effortless effort. And as maybe contradictory as it may sound, the more you extend, the more you lengthen, the more effortless it becomes. So you got your center armpit, and then you have that ball and joint shoulder. Okay, so right at that shoulder joint, you're lengthening, extending, reaching up to the wrists, reaching up to the fingertips. And again, engage those glutes. There's a engagement in the glutes and the pelvis to stabilize the sacrum. And then reach through the back of the neck to lengthen the neck, reach through the top of the head. Because remember, we want to work through every single vertebra. So your sit bones are reaching to the floor. That means you're lengthening downwards. Your side waist is extending, lengthening through the side waist. We're making space for your organs. And now an area where that tends to get jammed up, that thoracic spine right behind the heart, the shoulders, lengthen through the thoracic spine. So that's going to come through the extension of your sit bones and the extension of reaching out the top of your head and drawing those front ribs to the wall behind you. So soften the jaw, soften the forehead. Go ahead and find something to stare at on the floor, a focused gaze. And that focus tends to allow us to extend at that subtle level. So focusing, calming the mind and the brain to find more length, more extension, and then add that grace, that softness to your extension. A grace, a softness to that length. And now draw your navel, your belly button towards the center spine. So we do have to re-engage this core, this line, and it is a communication between your pelvis, your structure, your organs, and the length of the spine. And all those will start to sync up. Again, get that focused gaze. All of that will begin to sync up as you work at that subtle level. So you're like an artist using your imagination. Pretend you have a paintbrush and you're using that paintbrush of your mind to find your inner sit bones, to lengthen through, to lengthen the side waist, to draw the front ribs back and open those back ribs, to draw the arms behind the ears, to lengthen through the thoracic spine, to reach to the top of the head and to soften in the extension. Good job. Yes, we held that long on purpose. Arms out to the side, palms facing up. Now this is a heart opener. Again, find your focus, your gaze. Pick a point on the floor in front of you. And just stay focused looking at that point. Eyes open. Palms up. And then again, reach through those inner sit bones, lengthen, 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 lengthen. That's going to give length through the whole spine. Reach out the top center of the head. And we're looking specifically for the areas of the spine that are congested, that are not used to lengthening. And remember that lengthening is what creates that strengthening. Rolling the armpit chest up towards the ceiling, rolling the inner shoulder where it meets the neck, down the back towards the floor. Now you're starting to get into that inner spine. And then extend through your feet. So imagine that you're broadening wide across the bottom of your feet. It's like your feet are smiling. And then reach through your inner heel. Inner heel is extending, lengthening. Mounds of your big toes are pressing. Press through the mound of your big toe. Good. Do you see how much more engagement you got in your spine and throughout your full body connection when you engage from the toes to the top of the head? Yes, we're resetting the shoulders. Roll the top shoulders down the back and down. So those long timings are necessary. And if you're finding that they're hard to hold, that's where we work on the breath. Smooth the breath, soften the breath, steady the breath. That's where that grace comes in. So that was an opening to the shoulder. Let's keep it. See if you notice more opening across the front of your chest. Palms can be facing up again. So again, find your feet. Spread wide across the bottoms of your feet. It's going to start engaging your tendons. Find your two sit bones. Take your center sternum and lift upwards and forwards at a 60-degree angle. Broaden wide across your palms. Spread wide from the pinky finger to the thumb. Find that focus point on the floor. Remember, keep the eyes open so we can really be present with this moment, facing the moment. And then again, those glutes are toning. So we're working on the entire structure of the body through these points. Bottom of the feet spreading wide, toes spreading wide. Can you spread all of your toes wide? That's going to work through the lower back. Sacrum skin, the skin right over the sacrum, which is that triangular bone at the back of the pelvis. So the back of the pelvis, the skin is lifting up towards the ceiling. And then you take that all the way through, lengthen through the head, lift through that center heart, and yet the glutes are drawing downwards and engaged. So just see how many of those points you can coordinate at once. You'll feel like electrifying aliveness, right? As you start connecting these points throughout the body. It's a calm aliveness. Jaw soft. And the belly's not gripped. The belly is soft. And yet the core is engaged. The navel is reaching towards the spine. And that's where those distinguishments become really beautiful, because so many people walk through life gripped. And that grip is a brace, right? But it doesn't actually strengthen us. So soften the grip. Soften the grip. Maybe we've go ahead and change the crossings of your legs. So bring the opposite leg forward. Soften the grip. And that might be hard to find, hard to do. Oftentimes we don't even know that we're doing it because we've done it for so long. Maybe it's been an established pattern for 20, 40, 60 years. Who knows? Soften the grip. Soften the jaw. And really, we want those organs soft. So again, you pretend you're an artist, use your imagination, paint with your paintbrush of your mind, of your imagination. Connect to your pelvic organs, your reproductive organs. So as though you're painting with a paintbrush. Soften those organs. And as you soften, you start to find more length, more extension through the spine. Lengthen the back body. Lengthen the back body. Lengthen through the top of the head. Lengthen through every single vertebra. Lengthen through the neck. Lengthen through the thoracic spine. The spine along the lower rib cage. The lower spine. Again, engage, spread wide across the bottoms of your feet, toes spreading wide, pressing through the mounds of your big toes, pressing through your inner heels, pressing through the center outside edge of your foot. Notice the direct relationship that has to your hips, to your pelvis, to your spine. And so the body is literally unwinding. Again, have that focused gaze. So we're beginning to tone where we never knew to tone, where we never knew we needed strength. Muscles, tendons that we didn't even necessarily know existed, right? And that's coming from the bottom of the feet, spreading the feet wide. For our whole lives, we've been told to stuff our feet into little shoes. Right now, you're reclaiming your feet, the elasticity of your feet. I always say, look at a baby's feet because they're strong, they're wide, they're elastic. My little baby girl will just run across the rocks and they're kind of sharp and no problem. You know, the gravel, no problem. So we got to restore that elasticity. And of course, that translates to the nervous system. Reach and extend through your toe tips. Pretend that your toes are getting longer. And again, your palms are wide, facing up. Imagine that your elbows are drawing down towards the floor. Remember that relationship to the inner neck and inner shoulder. So even with your hands, with your fingers, there's the trapezius muscle at the top of the shoulder where the shoulder and the neck meet. That's where people have that tendency to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. Most people, the trap is living on the front body, and then gravity takes us, and that is the aging process. Now, I'm asking you to do the exact opposite, and you have to train this. This is a lifetime of training. And again, babies, little kids do it naturally. We lose it over time. This thick muscle at the top of your neck and shoulders needs to live on the back body. So use your hands, you're sculpting your muscle, your body like clay. You're drawing from the front of the trapezius muscle and rolling it down the back body. The trapezius lives on the back body. Keep that. Remember to ground the sit bones, move the tissue muscle out of the way to find the structure, to find the bones. So we're going to keep working with that. Elbows are drawing down towards the floor. Back ribs are opening wide. This is a highly, I just want to say, like, neglected part of the body. This lower rib cage, right? And for women specifically, there is a tendency to jut in here, and I see it all the time, and it actually breaks my heart, okay? So if the buttocks is flared up, then there's a there's a blockage of energy. There's like a V. There's a cutting in right across the kidney band and the adrenal band, right? So it's hitting that kidney adrenal band, and it weakens those vertebrae and the spine. So we actually want to do the opposite. You want to find your strength and your core here. So this lower rib cage, go ahead and feel it. If you had an anatomy chart, so press your ribs. Your lungs are right under there. Press your ribs, find your ribs, front ribs, massage, really find it. So front ribs, front rib cage, and then you have your diaphragm right here. Okay, massage that. Front ribs, side ribs, go ahead, feel them, massage them, find them. Side rib cage, this area gets underdeveloped as well. Open here, broaden here, widen here. Imagine you're one of those big old wine barrels. You're developing a barrel, a widening. Expand through your side rib cage. There's so much more human potential here. Every single part of your body holds awareness, holds consciousness, holds memory. You want to breathe literal life force into this area. And when you tap into a new potential in one area of your body, you wouldn't believe what that opens up in your mind. Open this up. And now to that area that gets neglected as well. Okay, so here's your back rib cage, feel it. And you can feel where your ribs drop off into your spine, into your organs. You can trace them. Trace the rib cage. There's so much in there. Trace the rib cage. So when there's a jutting where the glutes are lifted and the rib cages, I can't even do it. But you know what I mean. We see it all the time. This area gets restricted. And now here, your kidneys are here. And then your little teeny tiny adrenal glands sit on top of your kidneys. And your kidneys are actually in charge of eliminating all of the waste from your body, all of your lymphatic waste, all of your cellular waste. So we have trillions of cells, and they are eating and they are eliminating. So you have the kidneys have the process of eliminating the waste of trillions of cells, which then goes through your urinary system and out of the body. They're brilliant, right? We can't even come close to mimicking what our kidneys do naturally. And then the little teeny tiny adrenal glands sit on top of the kidneys, and that impacts our inflammatory response. That impacts our fight or flight, our nervous system calmness, our regulation, our strength. It impacts so many things. It even regulates that It has an impact on the strength of our bones, right? Because all of the systems are connected, all the hormones are connected. So the adrenals, go ahead, just feel along the back rib cage. And what we're working to do is broad and wide across the back rib cage. So lowest rib cage, up, okay, a little bit upper, a little bit upper. Now you get right behind the heart, the thoracic spine, the thoracic rib cage. But go to the lowest rib cage and broad and wide and do what I'm doing with your thumbs. Go from the center spine and spread wide. It's going to feel so good. Center spine, spread wide. Center spine, spread wide. So I'm teaching you to take up space here. Broaden, expand, lengthen. Remember, pretend like you're those old wooden barrels. Broadening, widening. This area gets so suffocated. We got to rebuild our strength here. Broaden, 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 broaden. Broaden, 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 keep broadening. So we've got the sit bones, we've got the feet, we've got the side waist, we've got the armpit chest lifting, we've got the inner shoulders descending. And now we're learning to broaden wide across the lower back rib cage. Take that focus point on the floor. Look at one single point of focus on the floor. It's going to calm and steady the brain so that you can go a little bit deeper, a little bit more subtle. Breathe into that lower back rib cage. Broaden it to your full capacity. Hold that breath, pause. Exhale through the nose, but keep that broadening. Do not lose the broadening. So again, when we breathe, we have the tendency to open, expand. And then we have the tendency to contract and release as we exhale. But what I'm asking you is something different. I'm asking you to open, expand on the inhale. And I'm going to break this down piece by piece. We're opening and expanding on the front rib cage. We're opening and expanding on the side rib cage. And we're opening and expanding on the back rib cage. Okay, so inhale, expand. Now what I'm asking is for when you exhale through your nose, you keep that expansion. You keep the structure, you keep the barrel. So the air is releasing, but the structure is not condensing. The structure is expanding. Inhale through the nose. And it might take a lot of mental concentration to help you find that back rib cage and side rib cage and expand it. Exhale through the nose, keep that expansion. Wow, it's completely different, right? Let's try it again, see what you notice. Inhale, expand. Side ribs, back ribs, expanded. Exhale, keep that expansion. Anybody notice what happens? Let's do it one more time. Inhale, expansion. Exhale through the nose, keep that expansion. Okay, I'm curious if you found it, and we'll keep training on this. What happens is the inner vacuum activates. Try it again. Inhale, expansion. Especially across your back ribs and lower side ribs. Exhale, keep that expansion, exhaling through your nose. When you keep the structure of your back ribs and your side ribs, the organs have to engage upwards. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. The sit bones have to find each other and orient. Inhale. Exhale. There becomes this lift from the pelvic floor up through the organs, up through the core, up through the spine, up through the top of the head. Try it again. Inhale. Keep that expansion in your side waist and your back ribs. So you're working with the masculine, the structure of the rib cage, the barrel. And then what happens, that's supported, and then what we're calling the feminine elements, the organs, the tissue, that soft tissue, it gets a lift. It's an actual literal lift. It's like a facelift, whatever. What that's doing, as we often say in life, when there's that strong structure, that masculine structure, the feminine can soften. So the feminine is going home, the organs are going home. And let's try this again. So inhale, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Inhale, broaden your barrel wide, front, side, back. Pause. Keep that widening, particularly in your back rib cage and your side rib cage. Exhale your air. It's an invigorating, enlivening experience of your inner body, your inner tissues, your organs. And when we lose that structure, right, because we weren't taught it, when we lose that structure, what happens is those organs, those tissues, it gets heavy and gravity takes it. And again, that's the aging process. And then the organs, the gravity takes them, and the organs literally start to sometimes get that prolapse out of the pelvic bowl. So your pelvis, the bone structure literally hugs and holds your organs in place. Okay? And we see it all the time, and it's just because we aren't taught, right, how to get that structure back, how to support our structure. And so that pelvic bowl, we're going to find it through that rib cage barreling again. And the more you practice this, the deeper and deeper in tune you'll become with it. So inhale, any position that's comfortable for you. I'm on my knees. I love this position. If you can't do it, don't worry about it. Do simple cross-legged. This is killer for your toes, but so, so, so good. I'm just sitting here. Alternative, having a prop. Alternative, sitting in cross-legged. Okay, but if you can do it from, this is Virasana, do it. We have the sit bones. Notice how I do that? The sit bones are the literal tissue muscles spreading wide, sit bones spreading wide. That's supporting the sacrum skin up. The muscles, glutes are grounding to the floor. It's not a tuck, they're just grounding down. Hey, did you notice that? When the glutes ground, you get that inner lift. The inner lift in the pelvis, that inner lift in the spine, that natural upliftment of your organs. It's so beautiful. So again, I always say this practice is a coming home, a returning to self, a returning to what we didn't even know we needed or didn't even know was inherently there. So toes are pointing straight back. If you're in this position, toes are pointing straight back. If you're in simple cross-legged, again, you're spreading wide across the bottoms of the feet. Whatever position you're in, any part of your body that is touching the floor is the foundation. I want you to root into that foundation. Bottoms of the feet spreading wide. Equal pressure in the tops of your feet if they're touching the floor. Equal pressure in your shins if they're touching the floor. Okay, let's go back to the diaphragm and the rib cage. Inhale, barrel. So many of us know how to overly open our front rib cage. It's overly exposed. It's overly open. We lose our strength. Sometimes we give it all away, right? Like maybe we overgive. That boundary is not quite there. And then we're restricted back here, so many of us, tight, gripped, those poor little kidneys, those poor little adrenals. So we're gonna open up, spread wide, broad in the back rib cage, broad in the side rib cage. What happens? That inner line engages, that pelvic lift. It's from the perineum to the top of the spine. It starts to lift, it starts to engage. Now you're connected to your center, to your core. There's a natural, healthy boundary here. There's a healthy boundary. You're not going to overgive because you're connected from your center. Open the back rib cage. 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 Broaden. Reach through your toe tips. Extend, expand. Remember, those inner shoulders are rolling down the back body. Palms can be facing up. Remember that armpit chest. You can literally hook your thumbs underneath your armpit chest. Technical term. Reach the armpit chest up to the ceiling. Do you see how much lift I just got? Reach your armpit chest up to the ceiling. Remember, we're enlivening where we've lost that juice, where we've lost that connection, when we just didn't know. And then we're softening where we've become hard, where we've become protective, where there's that armor. And think of like a cast or a brace. So you pretend, say somebody breaks their arm and they wear a cast. That brace is protecting that bone while it's healing. But what happens when you take that cast off? Usually the muscles have atrophied, right? Because it hasn't been used, it's been protected. So it's the same wherever we have that brace of protection, and we have it in so many places, that area actually gets atrophied. It doesn't get stronger. So we're going to work on those atrophied areas. Reach through the sit bones, extend through the top of the head. And it's subtle, guys, it's subtle. Sacrum skin is lifting towards the ceiling. Those sweet little kidneys and adrenals are taking a breath. They're expanding. They're no longer being squished and squeezed. And then what happens when you find that back kidney band, that internal vacuum, that internal strength, that internal core, that connection to your spine, that connection to yourself, that connection to creativity, to larger purpose, that activates, that clicks on. Soft face, soft throat, open heart, open hands, open heart, open hands. Elbows releasing down, inner shoulder releasing down. Again, we're just filling up that back rib cage, that back barrel. It's like push-ups for your lower back rib cage. How hard is it to do your first push-ups? And then you train, and then you can do 10, and then you can do 20, and you just keep training. My friend Donnie, he's been doing 1,000 push-ups a day. I'm not even sure if I've done 1,000 push-ups. No, it's really remarkable, and his goal is to do it for those that can't, right? Sometimes life really challenges us, and so he's building back that mental, physical, spiritual strength through his push-ups, right? So this is the push-ups for your lower back rib cage. to rebuild that strength, that center, that calmness, that support. It's support, guys. It's support for your organs. It's support for the self at the deepest level. And when you have that support for the self at the deepest level, and that extension, that length, reaching out the top of the head, then we're not grasping anymore, looking for that support everywhere outside of us, because you found it. You just have to keep cultivating it. Cultivate it, cultivate it. It's a never-ending gift. It's beautiful. It's always there. We just got to tap in. Reach through the sit bones. Equal pressure into your foundation. Whatever is touching the floor, press downwards to lift upwards. Press downwards to lift upwards. And as you get that foundation balanced, the brain starts to balance, okay? So most of us probably put 20, 30, 40, 50, 60% more on one side or the other, just not knowing it, because we have a dominant side. So equal pressure into the ankles, the shins, the knees, whatever's touching the floor, the sit bones, pressing downwards to extend upwards. Equal pressure to balance the brain. Now get on that front body and that inner body. Inside sit bones, front sit bones. Boom, that starts to connect you to that internal vacuum, that internal support system. Face softening, throat softening, center brow softening. Find that focal point, one focal point on the floor. And just see how many of those points you can coordinate at once. Extension through the toes, firm pressure into your foundation, pressing downwards to lift upwards. Open the back rib cage, open the back rib cage, open the back rib cage, which teaches you to lengthen through your spine, your full spine extension. Inhale to the top of your breath and hold, inhaling through your nose. Exhale, keep that 360-degree barrel and release the air. So keep the form of the barrel. Keep that focus on one point. Inhale to the top of your breath and hold. Extend 360. Exhale, keep that 360 extension. Good. Soften, release, relax. Do you see how that can be a full body workout? A full body training from the toes to the developing of the arches, the feet, the ankles, the knees, the hips, the spine, every single vertebra, the neck, the top of the head, the jaw, the organs, which is again remapping the body to remap the brain, to remap the nervous system. And it's toning. It's a lot of toning. As you get that pressure into your foundation, you're toning all your muscles. Okay, take that in. Great. So we're going to close up today with that awareness. So again, the more subtle you work, the deeper it goes. The deeper into your organs, your nervous system, your brain it goes. So find that masculine strength and extension through your structure, your bones, your muscles. And again, that's through that equal pressure, whatever position you're sitting in. Find that softness, which is like an exhale. The rose petals. Feel that through your whole body, your whole nervous system, your skin, your organs, your brain, your eyes. Soften your eyes. Soften the tongue, release the tongue away from the roof of the mouth. But don't lose that strong structure. That's what allows us to soften, is our stability, our structure. Press, press, press the shins. Press anything that's touching the floor into the ground. Press. Broaden the feet wide. So you can recalibrate your entire nervous system through this. You can recalibrate the way the muscle adheres to the bone, creating that healthy muscle fiber and tissue. You can recalibrate that internal softness and that internal strength, allowing those organs to go home, to soften. We do live in a modern world that teaches us to harden our organs. And a healthy body has soft, supple organs. And then, with all of the modern conveniences, we start to lose that strong structure, where that structure becomes soft. And then your organs have to become hard. Okay, so we're reversing it. It is something you have to work for every single day. And like we were talking about, that Casey Neistat video, it's easier to do it every day than not to do it. It's just so much easier to do it than not to. Keeping that firm pressure. Reach through all 10 toe tips. Find your foundation, which is your bones. Find your sit bones. Find the lengthening of your spine. Find it, find it, find it, find it, find it, find it, find it. You're gonna find that internal lift, that internal vacuum. It's a strengthening. Once you have that strengthening, your organs have space. They have space. They start to engage and lift upwards. It's like I just imagine I imagine the organs like talking and jumping around, like they're so happy and free now. Like doing a happy dance. And as you find the bottom of your feet, broaden across the bottom of your feet, you'll start to find the back of your rib cage. Open that more. Now find that center line. So you're lifting from the base of the spine, the base of the perineum, up to the top of the head. Look downward and find that focus point. And now you're just working from that inner diaphragm. So go at your own pace. Slow inhale through your nose. And the air is actually restricted in the back of your throat. It's like a pinched garden hose. Probably can't hear it, but it's as though you're distilling the air through the back of your throat. Kind of sounds like an air balloon releasing, or people call it like the sound of a wave, an ocean wave. And when you get to that inhale at the top of your breath, just pause. And that whole inhalation, you're subtly finding that expansion across the front, side, and back body. And when you exhale, you're keeping that expansion. And you have that same distilling of the air through the back of your throat. So it's a very slow exhale through your nose, And it'll sound like an ocean wave receding. Pause when you get to the bottom of your breath. And then normal breathing. So those pauses are extremely important. And when you're doing that subtle breathing, it's also really important to not, like, I work you guys and I push you way past that edge, gently past that edge in your physical body, but I don't push you past that edge in your breath, because we're working with the subtle nervous system. Here we want to stop before the edge. Here we want to stop before you lose that breath. So normal breathing, normal recovery breaths. And when you're ready, at your own pace only, slow inhale through the nose. Sounds like that ocean tide wave coming in. And it's a pause. And then that ocean tide wave going out, or normal breathing. Pause. Normal breathing. And the pause is the most important part. That's where everything reorganizes. So go at your own pace. You can focus on just an inhalation and the normal breathing. You can focus just on an exhalation and the normal breathing. Inhale. Pause. Normal breathing. Do you feel how powerful that pause is? That's where the puzzle pieces come together. Normal breathing. And then we're going to work on the exhale once your breath has recovered. So take a normal, full, deep inhalation. And we're going to slowly exhale through the nose, distilling it through the back of the throat. And that receding ocean wave. Pause. Normal breathing. So that is the work. We first have to address the structure, the spine, find that internal vacuum. Just keep coming back to this class to find it. Find that internal vacuum. And then we can work on the breath, which is working on the nervous system. And then we can find that pause, which is that beautiful, unbelievable stillness in the body. So last one, find your foundation, calm the body, the nervous system, the brain. We're just going to work on the inhale to start. Only after your breath is balanced and caught. Inhale. Pause. Normal breathing. And remember, you're having that focused gaze, that drishti, that focused gaze on one place. Normal breathing, recovery breath as long as you need. And when you fully have caught your breath, go at your own pace. Then you're going to have that deep, normal inhalation. And then you're going to slowly exhale through the nose, sifting the air through the back of your throat. Pause. Normal breathing. So in that pause, that's where everything is reorganizing. The organs are going back into place. The nervous system is setting that reset button. It's like gathering all the pieces, all the information highways of the body, and bringing everything to that collective pause where it can all recalibrate, come back in sync, and then continue on, right? So it's kind of cool to think of the body as like a highway system. And some places have gotten congested with traffic, right? Think of New York City, think of all that's going on. And then this is the collective pause where everything is syncing back up and then getting back into flow together, right? The reset, the ultimate reset button for body and mind, nervous system, organs, everything. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, I went a little over because I dove in deep. Thank you. Thank you for practicing. Thank you for being here. We can share any reflections in the group, but just focus on being inward for right now. And we'll see you next time. And yeah, this is one that you can come to thousands of times, many, many times. Love you, and we'll see you next week. Bye.